You can't roll upside down. You can't pitch upside down. Basically, if you put the stick all the way in the corner, it'll just make a nice sharp turn. And so that basically makes it possible for even an inexperienced pilot to fly this plane well. Now, Safe Select, by the way, I will reiterate this. Obviously, because of those pitch and banking limits, you can't make a bank and yank 90-degree turn. So that's something that you have to be aware of. So it does take a little more space to fly it with Safe Select. If you use the rudder, that helps a lot. Of course, we do limit the rudder in with Safe Active, so it doesn't get into a spin situation. But basically, Safe Select is a great thing to have for an experienced pilot. And even as an inexperienced pilot, then of course, it's very beneficial because if you haven't flown a jet before, if you're uncomfortable hand launching, if you're flying in more wind, you can use Safe Select to make the airplane kind of smooth and locked in for you. In addition to the pitch and banking limits, we have self-leveling when Safe Select is active. So when you let go of the stick, it goes back to level. So it's kind of nice.
Pretty cool. Yeah,
it really locks things. It actually makes landing super easy too. So I strongly recommend Safe Select for inexperienced pilots, of course, but also experienced pilots.
So for the guys that they have all the warbirds like the Wildcat, the P-51, the P-47, if they fly that comfortable, can they go up to this?
Definitely. So I will make this point because I see this question a lot. Is this airplane for beginners? No. This is not the first RC airplane you should buy. If you've flown basically almost any airplane before, a warbird especially would be helpful, but even if you've just kind of graduated from a trainer and flown like a one sport airplane or one scale airplane, you will be ready for this. So as a first jet, it's a great choice, but again, it's not for beginners. It's not for someone who's just maybe flown a trainer and that's it. It is for maybe, again, a great first jet and for someone who's got at least a little bit of experience.
Okay, so one of the other differences that I see is the trim scheme. This trim scheme is quite different than the previous one, right?
Yeah, the previous one was mostly red on top. So we've gone with a scale scheme that we've seen on, I've seen it on some other larger scale turbine jet models in particular. And so it's good for orientation. You can kind of see the tail is big and red and all out there. Now, of course, the bottom side is similar coloration, but visually, the nice thing about this airplane, it's got the high mounted stab. So you can kind of tell top from bottom a lot easier just in general because of the overall shape of the airplane.
That's
so
awesome.
The trim scheme is different. We have added Safe Select. And then the other thing that we did is we increased the performance.
Oh, great.
And so we did that by going to a higher kV motor, basically a kind of more powerful motor, so to speak. And so we have a 13,500 kV motor now. It originally was, I think, 11,750. So it's about a 15% increase in the kV. Gives you more speed, gives you more thrust, gives you more performance all around. We do now also recommend our 2-cell 280 milliamp battery. Back then we recommended the 200 milliamp battery, and so now we recommend the 280 for a little more flight time, a little more performance.
So it's basically the same ADF unit as we use in the A10.
Yeah, it's our 28 millimeter, I believe. I can't remember exactly the Delta V, I believe that we describe it as. And so that same fan unit has been used for a number of years now, but we went ahead and bumped up the power. We also do some special balancing and things that we didn't do as much of in the past to help optimize the performance, especially now that we got the fan spinning at higher RPM because of the higher kV motor.
So one of the things that I see on the kind of the features is the split rudder. What is that?
So, some people are like, oh, does it actually split in the middle? No, it's not that way. Yeah, on a MiG, you've got the horizontal tail mounted basically like, part way up the vertical fin, and so for that reason, they have the rudder split on the full scale. So you can see there, the rudder is split. You've got the top area here and the bottom area here. On a lot of models, they won't make both parts active. They might make just the bottom, for example, active and leave the top fixed. But in our case, it actually works because it does have the split in there.
Awesome. Now, for those guys that just want to hand launch the airplane, they don't want to deal with taking off from the ground, are the wheels removable?
They sure are, yeah. You can actually slide those out pretty easily.
Awesome.
And then with the wheels out, it's easier to hand launch. You can belly land it on grass. And of course, it looks a lot cooler without the landing gear on it. It's a little bit faster. It's got a little bit more thrust and kind of vertical performance. So, yeah, if you're going to fly over grass primarily, I would say just leave the landing gear off altogether. But the nice thing with the landing gear is, of course, you can take off and land on smooth or hard surfaces.
Yeah,
so a runway, a parking lot, a driveway, and it also has a steerable nose wheel. I don't know if we pointed that out. So in addition to the split rudder, we've got the nose wheel steering on the rudder channel as well.
So with Safe Select, you mentioned the hand launch. Pretty easy.
Oh man, it's super easy. That's the nice thing about this MiG planform. It basically kind of lends itself well to being easy
And you
to
don't have
hold.
a prop, so.
There's no prop to worry about. You kind of just give it a straight-on nice toss, and boom, it goes. And with Safe Select Active, it keeps the nose from pitching up too much, keeps it from rolling over. It makes it a heck of a lot easier to hand launch. So if you're not experienced hand launching, no problem, especially with Safe Select Active. But even without Safe Select, it's super easy to hand launch this airplane.
So we mentioned the battery is a 2S 280. Flight times.
So it depends. If you're in the power a lot, you'll probably get 3 to 5 minutes. If you throttle back and cruise, you can get 5 to 7 minutes. So somewhere in that ballpark. Nice thing is those batteries are relatively common, so a lot of guys probably already have a bunch, and if you don't, they're pretty cheap to buy.
That's pretty much the same battery we recommend on pretty much all the UMX.
Yep, pretty much all of our UMX airplanes. So it's a 2-cell battery, has a 3-pin connector. It's a combination of a balance connector and a power lead in one to help save weight and make it simple so it doesn't take up as much space. And those batteries, again, are pretty common, pretty easy to find.
Okay, awesome. So it's getting cold outside. How about flying indoors? Would it be possible?
You can, yeah. I would say you probably need at least 2 basketball courts of space to fly it. So there are guys who fly in golf domes. There's guys that fly, in indoor track facilities. Those would probably be okay for that, especially for a more experienced pilot. I don't know that I would fly it with Safe Select Active in those spaces. In a golf dome, you probably could, no problem. But I would highly recommend that you have, again, at least 2 basketball courts of space.
I have a question coming from Facebook from J.R. Redmond. He's asking, we haven't talked about price, so what's the price?
So the question is, what is the price? So this will be sold as a bind and fly basic. I believe originally it was sold as a full bind and fly. Full bind and fly meant it came with the battery and charger as well. Yeah. So this is the bind and fly basic version. There's no battery included, no charger. It does have the airplane with all the electronics installed. So you've got the receiver, control unit with the ESC, the motor, the fan, all the servos are installed. It's ready to bind to a Spectrum equipped transmitter. And the price on that is $129.99, so $130 US, which I think is about $40 less expensive than it originally was. And again, we don't have the battery, we don't have the charger in the box. So a lot of people already have the battery that will work, or they can buy the battery inexpensively, already have a charger that will work. So you do need a 5-channel Spectrum transmitter. So you need the 5th channel for Safe Select to turn it on and off. And the nice thing about Safe Select and the Ultra Micro is it automatically assigns to channel 5. It's on your gear switch, and basically you're very easy to either use that switch, you can deactivate that switch, you can set the travel so it only has AS3X, you can deactivate that switch altogether depending on the setup of your radio, and you can go from there. So I would strongly recommend at least having, again, a 5-channel radio, but most people have a 6-channel radio or more.
So I have another question here about parts. Are the parts the same as the previous model? They're compatible?
Yeah, are the parts compatible with the previous model? They are. So they are painted differently. That is one catch, but the parts fit. So if you have an old airplane, you need a wing panel, no problem. You can buy, a wing panel and glue it on and go from there. So yes, the parts are compatible. Some of the parts, of course, like the landing gear, are completely the same.
Right. All right, another question from Facebook. It's from Ugo. Retracts.
Yeah.
We kind of mentioned that already, but yeah.
Yeah, so it has the fixed removable landing gear. It does not have retracts. Unfortunately, in this scale and size right now, especially in a model like this, which basically you've got a big open center section in the fuselage here for all the air to flow through. There's just no room to add retracts on this scale of model yet. Yes, we know there are some ultra micro models out there potentially with retracts, and there are some slightly larger models with retracts. And certainly it's a goal of ours someday to have that. But this model right now, it's just not possible with today's technology.
Awesome. So Kyle, do we have any questions coming up from YouTube?
You've covered everything from YouTube so far.
That's pretty good. So let's talk about when it's going to be available.
So right now, we currently expect it to be here around the middle of December, so hopefully right before Christmas. Now, I will say this, that there's a lot of things out of our control this time of year. It's very busy at the shipping ports, and so, it's possible it could get pushed back a little bit, but right now, we currently expect around the middle to end of December, so somewhere around Christmas time, give or take. So that is something that I strongly recommend. If you want to get one in that first shipment, though, you do need to pre-order. You can pre-order at your favorite local hobby shop, your favorite online retailer, at horizonhobby.com or even towerhobbies.com. You get that pre-order in now, and that way it'll ship as soon as it gets in. And it might be tight. It could be, like a couple days before Christmas, and we want to make sure to get them out the door. And so if you pre-order, you'll get it. If you don't and you wait, it might have to get the order processed, and it might take a day or two more, and you might miss out. So strongly recommend pre-ordering. It's always possible. We've actually seen some really, really strong pre-order numbers on this already. And so it's always possible with a lot of our new releases for that first shipment to sell out. So I very strongly recommend getting your pre-order in, again, at your favorite local hobby shop, online retailer, horizonhobby.com, towerhobbies.com. go and do it today. Don't wait. Don't wait any longer. The longer you wait, the deeper you are on the list, the less likely you are to get one in time.
So from J.R. Redmond and Dave from Facebook, you need to get those orders in. They're already asking about it. So there you go.
Yeah, you better get them in. Better get them in so you don't miss out.
Right. So Kyle, any other questions from YouTube? No, we're good. So while you're ordering this, pre-ordering this, do we have other things going on?
Oh yeah, we have tens of thousands of products on our website. But that said, we want to remind people that we have right now the pre-Black Friday sale is going on, and so the pre-Black Friday sale goes through Monday. The items that are on sale now, they're basically like Black Friday type prices, but those same items will not be on sale again for Black Friday. They will not be on sale again before Christmas. They will not be on sale for a lower price between now and the end of the year. So make sure you look at those items. There's a bunch of good stuff. We got the Force P51 Mustang, $50 off plus a free Spectrum receiver. That's a smoking deal. That's probably going to sell out. We have the Champ S Plus Bind and Fly, full Bind and Fly, $50 off. That's a smoking deal. We got some quads, some helis in there. What else do we got? Oh, even in the Hanger 9 Valiant for guys that are looking for wood ARFs. We don't forget about you guys too. We got that in there. And then again, a couple of quads, a couple of helis, and then one of my personal favorites, the Fly Zone Micro DC3, the Ultra Micro DC3. It's a similar size as the MiG here. Twin motors. It comes with a transmitter, battery, charger, the whole shebang, ready to fly. Regular price $160. It's $60 off. It's $99.99. That will sell out. So if you guys want to get a cool ultra micro, especially if you're flying indoors or even in the late evening or early morning hours when it's nice and calm, that's a great flying airplane. Great value at $99.
So we have one more question from Jose. Flight time. We already talked about it.
Yeah, so we did talk about the flight time a little bit. Again, if you're like wide open throttle, 3 to 5 minutes probably, 4 to 5 minutes give or take. And then if you are cruising around at a lower throttle setting, you could probably stretch that to 5 to 7 minutes, maybe even 8 or 9 minutes.
Awesome. So I don't see any other questions either from YouTube or Facebook. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a message on the live or send us an email and we get back to you. So will be for now. Thanks for stopping by and
no problem.
Happy landings.